Hello everybody and welcome back to Namikaze What Ifs. This is What If Deku was the son of Hawks and Dabi, Part 2. We left off during the USJ arc. After that, the school gave the kids a 1 month break. When they go back to school, Aizawa tells them about the sports festival. We jump to the start of the sports festival. Wait, no. Sorry. Just gonna retcon that. When they leave the building, when they're leaving for the day and they get out of the classroom, there's a bunch of students crowding them and saying, "Oh, you guys think you're so much better than us?" Shinso's there, and Shinso's in class 1B, and he's like, "Yeah, you're so much better than us." And Momo's like, "Yeah, yeah," and Izuku and is just ignoring this, while Bakugo's just like, he's getting really mad. And he was about to like blow them all up except Izuku stopped him. We jumped to the start of the sports festival. They're ready for the race. President Mike counts down 3, 2, 1, go. Izuku lights his wings on fire and just zooms over all of the obstacles. He doesn't fight any of the robots. He doesn't go through anything. He just flies over them all, and he instantly gets first place. And then the second is Bakugo, and then Todoroki. Next is the cavalry battle. So it would be Deku, Uraraka, Tokoyami, and there's one more. Mina. I'm gonna have Mina be the other person. So Deku's gonna be the person carrying them, and he asks Uraraka to make everybody weightless, so he can just, because Deku has a 10,000 million point headband. So he asks Uraraka to make everybody weightless, and Deku tells Uraraka his plan. He says, make everybody weightless, that way I can just carry you all, and we can just fly above all of them. Uraraka says that's a good plan. She does it, and they just fly above all of them. So Deku keeps his 1 million point headband, and he also sent some feathers out to get some more headbands. So he has a ton of points. So now we're actually at the meaningful part. It's the 1v1 tournament. So the first battle is the same. It's Shinso versus Shinso versus Deku. He tells Deku, "Oh yeah, you've always had a great quirk. You never recalled a villain, and all of that stuff." And Izuku is just like ignoring him this whole time. And then when Shinso realizes, he gets mad and he asks Deku a question. He's like, "Do you think you're better than me?" And Ojiro warned Deku not to answer any of his questions, so he just doesn't say anything. He just walks up to Shinso and pushes him out of the arena, out of the zone. And they say, "Winner, Izuku Midoriya." Then the rest of the fights go the same. But when Bakugo fights Uraraka, he doesn't like toy with her like he did last time. He actually just takes her, just beats her. But now it's Todoroki versus Deku. Todoroki is still suspicious of Deku. He's just like, who is this guy? What? And so Todoroki is still just using only his ice and beating him up. All the ice that comes at him, he does his feather gauntlets and melts all the ice. And so he says Todoroki, "You could only beat me if you use your fire." And then Todoroki has that character development and he starts using his fire. He charges at Deku with his fire, and all of his fire, Deku just makes a shield with his feathers. And his feathers are extremely flame retardant. They do not burn because he lights them on fire. And so he just makes a shield out of his feathers and uses that to block. and so he makes a feather shield and a feather sword, and then he just ignites his wings and jets over to Todoroki and does like a chop on the back of his neck and knocks him out. So the final fight will be Bakugo versus Deku. This fight will be epic. So first they're like, Baku's just like, they're rivals. So Bakugo's just like, I'll beat you, Deku. I'll get first in this. And Zuko's like, I don't think you will. And so the fight ensues. And like they're throwing good hands. Like for every hit Deku takes, Bakugo takes another. And it's just like everybody's shocked. And like the crowd is going wild because it's just like this is an epic fight. And so that was just a warm up for them. So that's when Bakugo starts to use his AP shot and howitzer impact. Deku uses his feathers to block all of this, even though some do get destroyed. So he ignites his wings, and his fighting style is kind of like Gran Torino's, but instead of bouncing off of walls, he just uses his wings to maneuver him in midair. So he just circles around them, comes in with a really devastating kick, and just kicks them. So that's what Deku starts to do, but he does feather guns on his feet. So when he kicks Bakugo gets instantly set on fire. Izuku doesn't make him incinerate. He just makes him burn. Because Bakugo's his best friend. He doesn't want to kill him. And so Bakugo's just like, this burns, but I won't let you beat me. And so Izuku starts to amp up the heat a bit. And Bakugo's just like, this burns. But then and it's igniting Bakugo's sweat. And so you just see these mini explosions and sparks going all around him. And so now Bakugo can't use his squirt because all of his sweat is just getting ignited by Izuku's fire. And so eventually all that heat just makes Bakugo pass out. But he does that anime pass out where he's passed out but he's still standing. And so at the end they say the winner is Izuku Midoriya, then second is Bakugo, and then third is Todoroki. And so now when they're back in class, it's the internships, and all the heroes, everybody asked Deku to be part of his internship. And Bakugo goes to Gran Torino because he still doesn't have full cowling. And he just doesn't use one for all that much unless he absolutely needs to. His life is in danger because every time he uses it, he breaks his bones. So Bakugo goes to Gran Torino and shoot style. Well, get this. Deku goes with Endeavor, and Shoto also goes with Endeavor. The reason why Deku chose to go to Endeavor for his internship is because he wants to learn how to use his fire a bit better, and Endeavor's the best fire user there, even though he's a scumbag. But when Endeavor sees him, he's like, what? This kid looks like he's part of my family. The red hair, the blue eyes of fire. And he's just like, what? Huh? And he asks this kid, what's your last name? And Zuko says, whatever Hawk's last name is. I'm just going to say his last name is Midoriya because I don't feel like Googling Hawk's last name. He says, my name is Zuko Midoriya, and Endeavor's not shy, but he's like, okay. So, Izuku learns how to use his fire a bit better. He, vents the flames into, he can basically condense his flames more. And now he's learned when flying to put some feather gauntlets on his feet. It's jet propulsion on his feet. And it also, so now Izuku's just super fast. No one can beat him. In a race, no one, not even All Might. And so, but then that's when the Nomu start to come. And so Izuku, Todoroki, and Endeavor go. So Izuku separated from the group because of Anomu. He escapes Anomu, but then he sees Ida and Native in the alley. He sees Ida's about to get. So Izuku jumps in the way with a couple of feathers and blocks the blade. He sets the blade on fire and burns it. And then, so Stain has to drop it or he'll get burned. And he says, Ida, what's going on? Ida explains how this is the hero kills Stain, how he injured his brother, and all of that. So while Izuku's fighting Stain notices that Izuku's using his feathers to get Ida and Native out of there, trying to act secretly, and Stain acknowledges Deku's like, you're a true hero. And so Deku's like, he's not able to beat Stain, like he's winning, but he can't beat him. So he does a text message and Todoroki comes. And so Deku and Todoroki are now fighting Stain, and Stain's like getting pushed back, but he cuts Todoroki. And so he paralyzes Todoroki. So now it's all up to Deku. So Deku is just fighting him. And it's just like... So eventually, Deku... Like, it's a sword fight. So basically, Izuku is using his feather swords, while Stain is using his swords and knives. And so eventually Deku is... Like, they both know if either one of them touches each other, that's who's gonna win. Because if Stain touches Deku with his blade, he can eat the blood, then Deku dies. But if Deku touches Stain with his blade, he gets ignited on fire. And so they're both like doing all that. But Deku just sends a single feather trying to distract Stain. And Stain notices the feather, but he isn't able to block it because he's blocking Deku's other attacks. So the feather is able to touch Stain, and Stain gets ignited on fire. Deku's like burning him to the point where Stain looks like Dabi with the burn marks behind his whole body. So the heroes come and notice like Stain's incapacitated. He's burned like everywhere. And it says to see Deku just panting, and then he collapses from exhaustion. Izuku and Todoroki wake up in the hospital along with Ida, and then the what is it called? The dog man guy goes in, and he explains to them like, you can't take credit. Oh, we'll have to put you in jail because you don't have a license to use your quirks to harm other people. Deku knows this, and so does Bakugo, but Bakugo isn't happy with it because he's like, I want credit for what I did. Izuku calms him down, and then he asks Ida, why'd you do that? That was stupid. And Ida's just like, I'm sorry. So after that, there's another 1 month break for the students. And this is the final exams arc. So so the teams are the same. So I'm only gonna do Deku and Bakugo versus All Might. And this time Deku's like, we have to run from All Might. We have to run. We can only run. Because he doesn't have this mindset, All Might's the greatest. No one can ever hurt him. He's like, I want to beat him. And when Izuku and Bakugo are together, their teamwork is amazing. Like, they beat the Nomu, and the Nomu, like, maybe was able to beat All Might. All Might eventually beat the Nomu in canon, but it was a hard fight. And Deku and Bakugo beat the Nomu. So it's going to be a really good fight. And All Might's wearing the weights. So All Might and Deku and Bakugo are fighting. And it's a good fight. And so eventually Deku and Bakugo start to get the upper hand. Deku ignites All Might on fire and uses the move he learned from Endeavor to put the feathers around his feet and basically use jet propulsion like in Gran Torino. And so he does that, and All Might's shocked. He's like, how is he so fast? How is he so fast? I can't track his movements. And so, like, only Snipe can track his movements because I believe he has, like, a visual quirk where he, like, sees stuff well. That's how he's able to aim guns, but if not, then I'm wrong. I'm sorry. And so, like, and they start winning. And that's when Deku tells Bakugo, he's like, distract him, and I'll try to put the tape on him. And Bakugo's like, yeah, okay. Distract it. Deku tells Bakugo, distract him with one of your gauntlets. While he's trying to block that, I'll put the tape on him. And Bakugo's like, yeah, good plan. And so Bakugo unleashes one of his gauntlets. But instead of just, like, blocking it, All Might does a Detroit Smash to, like, basically do air pressure back at the explosion, basically nullifying it. And then he turns around to see Deku right behind him, and he just punches Deku. Deku goes flying. While All Might's doing, like, his villain speech, Bakugo just walks up behind him and puts the tape on him. And so that happens. Now it's the forest training camps. So basically, when they go there and they have to go through the forest, Deku they just go through the forest, everything goes in canon. I'm just gonna skip to where Deku fights everybody. So when Deku notices Koda's gone, he's like, where is he? Where is he? There's villains. Where's Koda? And so instead of Muscular trying to kill Koda, it's gonna be Dabi, because I have a thingy going on. Remember, Izuku doesn't know who his father is. And so when Deku sees Koda, he then sees Dabi's like a villain. But then he notices all the burn marks on Dabi's just like, what is that? Is it part of his quirk? And so Deku and Dabi are fighting. And it's just like, it seems like Deku's losing. And Koda's freaking out, and you notice that, like, Deku's getting burned. And so Dabi's fire is super hot and it's blue. It burns Deku's feathers a bit, not much, just, like, cinders them a bit. And so Koda sees it, he's like, no, and he has the whole My Hero thingy. And so, like, Deku's wings are on fire, and they're smoking. And so Koda says, no, and then he shoots the water out of his hands. It's a tiny bit, and it goes on Deku's wings, and it puts out that fire. So Izuku says, thank you, Koda. And so, during the end of the fight, Dabi says, you've grown up, I see. Well, I have never met you. Because Dabi was able to put 1 and 2 together. He's like, I did this at the bar, I did the Devil's Tango with Hawks. And he has the looks of a Todoroki. He also has a fire and wings quirk. And he's a son of Hawks. He was able to put 2 and 2 together. And he's like, haha, you've grown up well. And Izuku's just like, what? What do you mean? You're just a villain. Shut up. And so, during the end of the fight, Deku's on the ground. He's panting and exhausted. That's when Dabi pulls up some, like, Luke, I am your father, but it's like, Deku, I'm your dad. And Izuku's just like, no, you're not. He's just like, no, you're not. You're just trying to confuse me. But then Dabi explains everything, and Deku's mad. He's just like, wow, my dad's a villain. And he's like, wow, my dad's a villain. I have a villain's quirk. So basically he becomes kind of like Shota. He doesn't want to use his fire. But he doesn't beat Dabi. He's panicking. So he's able to run away with Koda. Bakugo still gets kidnapped and everything. But Deku's just like, he's freaked out. He's like, that was my dad, my dad's a villain. What's going on? So after that, during the week break after that, Deku goes to his house and talks to his mom about it. And his mom explains everything. He's like, and then she does what Todoroki did for Deku, and it's just like, that's your quirk, not his. And Zuko's like, okay, yeah. And so he then tells Todoroki. So basically, Dabi gets revealed to be Toya Todoroki early, like very, very early. And so Todoroki tells his whole family, and everybody's super mad. But they're also like, hey, we have to meet Deku. He's like Todoroki's nephew and his granddad's Endeavor. And so they're like, we don't really want him to meet Endeavor, but he already has, because he went to his agency. He went to internship there. So yeah. So Izuku meets the Todoroki family, and they're all talking, and they all like Deku. They're like, hey, you have to come over sometime because you're family. Izuku's like, okay, yeah, sure. And now we go over to the raid arc. So the same thing happens, but All Might still beats All for One. But when he points at the screen, he says, now it's your guys' turn. It's y'all's turn. And he doesn't say it's your turn. He says it's y'all's turn. Because, like, he's referring to Deku and Bakugo. Because, like, he considers them both his students. And Deku and Bakugo are crying. Because, like, that was your hero. And so, after that, we're gonna do the work study. Deku does a work study at Night Eye's agency. So does Bakugo. And so, Bakugo still goes to Best Jeanist. Yeah, Bakugo still goes to Best Jeanist. And so is Mirio Togata. And Deku remembers Mirio. He was like, hey, you're the guy that showed us where our classroom was. And he was like, yeah, that's me. And it's also like, Deku also knows Mirio is one of the big three. And so, Deku was asked to be at Night Eye, so he doesn't have to do that whole proving himself thing. Because All Might's told Night Eye, I'm also teaching this kid. He's extremely powerful, like almost basically as powerful as Mirio. He should, like, if he fought any of the big three, he would probably win and take their place. And Night Eye's like, okay, let's see what this kid's got. So he invites him to his work studies thingy. And so Deku meets Bubble Girl and Night Eye, Centipede Sidekick, and all that stuff. So while Mirio and Deku are out on patrol, they have that run in with Eri, and they see her panicking. Like, Deku sees this little girl that's scared, has bandages all around her. And you can just, like, see the fear in her eyes. Then there's this man that walks up behind her with a plague mask on. And Zuko instantly knows this is a guy who's a villain, but he's also no joke. And so the same thing happens. Deku puts on his mask because, well, no, he doesn't, because he's, like, not showing his emotions. But he was also like, what are you doing to this girl? And Shigarasi's like, what? And so when Shigaraki starts to take his gloves off, and Eri notices this, she's like, I don't want to, she doesn't want them to die, so she runs back to, what was his name? No, it wasn't Shigaraki, it was Overhaul. Yeah, Overhaul. And so she runs back to Overhaul, and Deku also notices, he's like, oh, he's about to get violent. So he and Mirio leave, and they tell Night Eye. Then they have the debriefing that Eri's, they're doing experiments on her. And Night Eye and Deku are, like, mad. Wait, no, Mirio and Deku super mad about this. And so when they go to get Eri, they're like, Mirio and Deku. they go, like, instead of Miro just going ahead, Deku also does. So everybody, like, all the fights that Kirishima had, that Tamaki had, and all that stuff, that all goes as canon. But instead of Miro arriving first to fight Overhaul, Deku's also there. But Miro gets shot with the bullet earlier, so now it's basically Deku versus Overhaul. But so he basically sends a couple of feathers to get Eri and brings her back to his side, and he says, "Get behind me." And so that's when the fight with Overhaul ensues. All the heroes see this, and it's not like in canon where everybody's like, "Oh, this kid defeated this giant villain that none of us could. We're just gonna ignore that." No, everybody sees this, and they're like seeing Deku beat up Overhaul, and it's just like, wow. And Eri still on his back, but then Eri starts using her quirk and panicking. But this time, Deku, he doesn't have one for all, so he can't like destroy his body. He can't destroy his body to keep up with Eri's rewind. So he's kind of just sending a bunch of feathers, like he's just sending a bunch of feathers at him and like destroying them all. So when Eri's rewinding, it's just rewinding his feathers. That's how he's like keeping up with Eri's rewind. So he's not getting turned back into a child. And so Deku eventually beats Overhaul, but instead of a massive punch, he uses all of his feathers and like he just shoots a massive wave of fire down at him. And so after that, it's like I said, instead of being like in canon, where all the heroes basically just ignored it, they're like, huh. They're like, they see this and like, oh my gosh, this kid's crazy. And so, after that, Deku, to basically say Deku's gonna be in the big three. Like Nejire and Tamaki and Miro are still gonna be in there, but he's gonna be recognized as one of the top students in the school. And he's only a first year, so all the heroes want him to like work at their agency. They're all like, hey, when you get out of high school, you want to become my sidekick and stuff. And so that's where I'm gonna leave it off. To continue next one, just like one like. That's all I want, just one. So yeah, hope you enjoyed it.